Hey everybody, this is Mo, the Gnostic warrior, founder of the Order of the Gnostics, with the kids taking a walk and a talk on this evening. Bye, beautiful wife.
I love you.
I love you too. See you later.
Bye.
Here with the little munchkins. Say hi, everybody.
Hi. Stop.
That's Kiana. That's Micah. Say hi.
Hi.
So we're gonna take a little walk, and I'm gonna talk about a little subject that's really important to me and my family. Go ahead, guys. Just watch for cars right here as we go down. So taking an evening walk and talk here. Thanks for joining the conversation. Craig, Max, what's up, brothers? Like to take walks in the evening as well, and I got inspired to talk about this from a question from one of the followers of Gnostic Warrior, Trish. Thank you for the question and following. I don't know if she's listening now, but she could listen later. But she was wondering, how to basically cleanse herself and detox and keep free from, pollution, parasites, etc. She really didn't say that, but I knew that's what she was meaning. She kind of kept it short in the message she sent to me. But, it inspired me to, pick up the phone here and take a walk and start talking about this subject, because it's really important to me and my family. And what... All right, just a little connection issue there. Sorry about that, guys. And sorry about the sun. It's behind me. It's real bright. It's about 6 o'clock, 6:15 here in San Diego, Southern California. But in any event, the title of this podcast, this video cast, this walk and this talk with you guys, it's about how these elementals, these demon parasites, had almost taken out my family and myself, etc. And I believe that we're starting to quantify via science what the ancients had called the elementals. There's a quote by H.P. Blavatsky, Madame Blavatsky. She's a famous philosopher back in the 1800s, the 1900s, the founder of Theosophy. And she talked about this unseen world that was either inhabited by spirits, elementals, or some type of being, etc. And I believe that science is now starting to quantify exactly what these beings are and these parasites. And they talk about them interacting with us in certain ways. And I want to share my experience that I had. You doing okay, baby? Yeah? All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. Going up a little hill, it's kind of hard when they're on their bikes, the kids. I walk this all the time, but anyways, the ancients had talked about this unseen world and these elementals, these spirits that are all around us and that are within us, and they interact with us. And as I had mentioned before in some of my previous podcasts, and if you haven't heard about it, I talk about how much human DNA that we have within our bodies. You could measure it literally in your big toe. So if you want to know how human you are in regards to DNA, genetic matter, your big toe is what that could be measured with. The rest of your body, which is 99% of it, would be other organisms, bacteria, fungi, parasites. That would be all of their makeup. So they essentially inhabit our beings. We're essentially made of this kingdom of elementals that inhabit us as well. And this isn't, again, something that, the ancients are talking about elementals. This is a fact. If you study health and science, you'll find out humans have, they've said 8 parasites, but up to 100 different parasites that live on us and within us, and on our skin, in our bones, in our teeth, in our organs. You could be one of the most cleanest individuals in the world, and you're going to have these parasites and these fungi and these bacteria because they're part of us and we're part of them. And we've lived coexisting with one another since the beginning of human existence, the human origins, etc. And I believe that these facts that science is finding out now about our origins and where we come from, and the fact that we're made of these different fungi and these bacteria, this is the proof of what these ancients were talking about in H.P. Blavatsky and Manly P. Hall and Albert Pike. So I've come to know these elementals in the modern sense, in the modern world with modern science. They're parasites, fungi. It's a parasite, mold. It's, mold is basically the English word for the Latin fungus or fungi, which would be basically the plural of the word. And it's been found by science, and I've been studying this a long time because my family was affected by this. And I'll get more into this story as I go along, but they have proven that these fungi can graft into your body. They could live within your body. They could start taking over your body to the point you get a disease. And as many people had said, cancer is a fungus. And I believe after all that my family's been through and that I've been through and all the research I've seen and all the non-cures and all the money that's spent on it, that cancer is a fungus. And this is the dark elemental energies that inhabit us. And when we become imbalanced, okay, like all of humanity basically right now, right? There's a cancer explosion, everybody's sick, nobody's right, is because we're imbalanced. And it all starts up here with our thoughts, with our words, with our actions, with our rituals, with our daily lives, with the food we're intaking. We're just basically totally changing the alchemical, God-given chemicals of our body, and we're making the perfect, basically, houses for these elementals, right? These parasites, these fungi, to take us over. And when I say take us over, I'm not just talking about making us sick and ill. I'm talking about taking over our minds. Okay, and when I say minds, keep in mind I'm talking about our blood. Yeah, the black goo. You got it, Max. They say this, you see this all the time in the films and stuff, and they're telling us something, guys. This is the Black Plague. When they talk about the plague in the past, bubonic plague, this little bacteria, it's fungi, guys, 100% all the time, and it's happening right now. We're in a plague right now, and it's just being covered up with 1,000 different medical Latin names that we don't understand. So this lack of knowledge, as I had mentioned in my last podcast, this ignorance that people suffer and the relying on outside entities to give them knowledge is the reason they don't understand what I'm telling you right now, for the reason for their illness, even their mental illness. Okay, so it's been proven, my research, and I could provide links, there's scientific studies, etc., that these fungi, they graft onto your DNA. Okay, yes, they basically merge into your DNA. They've been around for billions of years, and they figured out a way to merge their DNA into our DNA to become one. So think about this. If they're able to merge their DNA, oh wow, that's a big spider, guys, huh? You guys could talk, it's no big deal. I'm just having a walk and talk. I know I get a little serious here. As I said, guys, I'm walking with my kids right now on this evening walk and talk. Hey guys, Rachel, Diana, hello. Glad you guys are here. Thank you for joining. I'm talking about the unseen world, the elementals that the ancients had talked about, H.P. Blavatsky, the spirits, this unseen world that they're quantifying with science now. And I've had my own experience with these elementals that I've come to know as demonic parasites of the fungi world. And these fungi, this mold in English, fungi, molds would be the English plural, and then fungi would be the Latin plural. these fungi are taking over our bodies before we're dead. And what's happening is, I believe that a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us aren't in control of our minds and our bodies, fully in control. And actually these elementals, these demon parasite fungi, have actually commandeered a lot of people's central nervous systems, their blood, their DNA, and they're actually working for the parasite. Okay, they're almost like zombies. I feel that this is actually known by the powers that be at the top, and they make fun of them on the CDC website as zombies. Okay, these are the people that literally live day to day for their lower selves, their lower energy, for the worm that I talk about. So who is this worm? Who is this lower entity? Who is this demonic parasite that is controlling this world? Makes you wonder, doesn't it, guys? So especially if you're into the occult and into these ancient teachings, but you want to put modern science to it and you want to find truth, the truth is right there, guys. The truth is in us. It's all around us. It's happening in the news. It's happening, unfortunately, to our loved ones. These demon parasites are everywhere, and they're taking over this world right now. They're taking over the bee colonies. Do you guys know how all the bees are going? Yes, the fungi. Do you know how all the trees are going? No, it's not the beetle. It's the fungi on the beetle when the beetle gets into the tree that kills all the forest. That's how they're going. Let's go that way a little bit, okay, guys? Just a little bit further. Is that cool? All right. So yeah, as I had said, I'm taking a little bit of a walk this evening with my family. They're on their bikes. What'd you see? Oh. Yeah, we better watch it. Let's just go over here, guys, okay? See if I could see a couple of questions here. There you go, Max. You got it, buddy. And this is proven by science. So these parasites, these fungi, they also have been doing this with ants. So there's all kinds of research and studies you can find on the internet with different animals, with different insects, etc., where they're finding out that these fungi can commandeer basically these different insects, these ants, these animals. They get into them in their central nervous system, and basically they become zombie ants or zombie animals, and they do whatever the fungi wants them to do. And essentially it's for them to get into something, to kill it, and then the fungi to grow and basically consume that food. So they just kind of do this over and over and over. And if you look at that and you look at what humans are doing to themselves, and a lot of people, you know, addictions, I feel, deal with what I'm talking about right now, food addictions, people that just can't stop eating, and, you know, alcohol. Do you guys know that alcohol is made with these demon parasites, spirits? That's why they call it spirits, guys. Alcohol is essentially a dead fermented drink that they make with fungi, with aspergillus. And this aspergillus is what we consume, and the toxins from the aspergillus, just like a mushroom, we take a mushroom, a magic mushroom, right? And we have a psychedelic trip. So when we consume the toxins of the mushroom and the alcohol, it's not the alcohol. We're actually drinking mushroom juice, guys. That's what it is, essentially, mushroom juice. And it's dead matter. And then we're consuming this dead matter. And what happens when we drink this alcohol? It's a depressant. It brings us down to that lower state. We get more tired the more we drink. We get drunk. We can't control our body. It's just like, who's controlling our body? Yeah, you know who's controlling it. Anyways, just walking here. Let me see if I could answer any questions or address anybody. Cheese triggers the pleasure centers of the brain. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's why they call alcohol spirits. It's because you're drinking spirits. You're drinking elementals. You're drinking fungi that actually have a consciousness. And they know that these fungi now, and again, there's research proving this, that these fungi have a consciousness, a central nervous system that they act upon. almost like some overlord that basically is their mind, and they just, you know, do whatever this overlord says. And so they basically, that's how they run this world. And fungi, they're basically the big consumer of the whole world of us. When we die, that's what eats us, is these fungi parasites. And keep in mind, guys, when I say parasite, a parasite could be a worm, it could be any type of thing that lives off of its host, okay? So that's why a human could be a parasite, right? You could have maybe a son that never gets a job, right? And he just is parasiting off you, and he's not contributing to the family. He's kind of sucking your resources, and he's not contributing to those resources, right? That's a definition of a parasite. They live off of their host. So that's what these fungi do. That's what these parasites do, is they basically invade our system, and then they start living off of our nutrients and stuff, and they start sucking them up. And so the more we have in our body, guess what happens? The more they suck up, the more they take over, the more they start controlling that body that you think you own. So that's the key. If you want to start controlling your body and your mind, you got to get the mind right, right? You got to start thinking, working right, but we got a lot of cleaning and detoxing to do. And I'm actually under the conclusion and assumption that we're only going to be able to do so much in this world right now, because it's so detoxified and dirty, and the air, and it's just unbelievable, you know. And this goes along to where humanity has come today. And I don't believe that we're supposed to live like this, you know, and that we got to get back to our old ways. And the organic lifestyle, I love that. I've been doing that for a while. And different supplements I've been doing to help out too. So a supplement, guys, keep in mind, a vitamin, a mineral, anything like that. This is all ancient alchemy. Okay, this is what the ancients were doing, and today we call it the health market, the supplement market. And, you know, they're selling this plant juice that does this or that. This is alchemy, guys. So take advantage of this health field, and remember, the Gnostics were health fanatics. They were into health. They were physicians. They were doctors, all right? Doctors of the self. They knew the self. And we got to learn to take care of ourselves, to be our own Gnostics, to be our own physicians, and not rely on other people. And that's what ended up happening with me and my family when my son got sick from these demonic parasites, aka fungi, molds, that I went to the doctors, and I was naive, thinking I was going to get help a few years ago, and went to doctor after doctor, just not knowing what was wrong. Let's go ahead and cross, guys, with my family and my son. And I was just so terrified, and just wanted to find help for him. He was getting, you know, so sick at the time. And I would go to doctor after doctor, and they would just literally spend maybe 1 minute with him. They weren't even focused on their job, on my son, their heart, their mind. Nothing was in line, and I would see right through them. And I would see this time and time again. And they were doing nothing for my son, and he was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And here I am, a Gnostic, right? And I'm looking for knowledge, but I'm not finding it. It's just like some of the hardest knowledge to find to cure yourself and to heal yourself in this toxic world. And I eventually came across research on fungus, on molds. And these people that had become sick from living in these toxic environments, in these moldy homes, all right, 85% of all commercial buildings in the world have mold. And this is a fact. This is studies that have been done, and they say 50 to 60% of homes have mold. So people are getting sick, and they're dying because we're spending so much time in these parasitic environments with all these demon elementals. We're breathing them in, they're coming on our skin, we're eating them in our food. And over time, they just start taking over us and our bodies and our homes. And this is what happened to me and my family and my son. When he got sick, I rented a moldy home with a bunch of demonic elemental parasites, right? And it was in Carlsbad, California, with a beautiful ocean view, surfing every day, living the beach life. And then my son started getting sick, and my daughter. Every day, not every day, but every week it seemed something new. And didn't know what it was, because I lacked the knowledge, I lacked the gnosis. I was being destroyed for a lack of gnosis. Guess where diagnosis comes from? You got it, right? The Gnostics, right? It's all right there. Gnosis. Diagnosis. That's basically how you figure out what's wrong with you. When the doctor does, he does a diagnosis. Why do we need a doctor to tell us our gnosis? So anyways, I ended up figuring it out. And I knew that I couldn't rely on people outside of myself and my family to heal my son. I needed to be that shaman. I needed to be that doctor. I needed to be our family savior for my tribe, my little tribe, my clan right now, my family. And I was going to do everything I can in power. So I worked day and night. I didn't sleep hardly. I worked 3 jobs. I moved states from California to New Mexico. And I found some great therapies and vitamins and minerals that he could take. And it was a long process. It took a year. One of the first things we did was hyperbaric oxygen therapy. You know why? Do you know what fungi do? They suck up your oxygen and then they release carbon dioxide gas inside your blood, inside your home. And I knew this was happening to him and that we lived near a freeway in Carlsbad and that he was suffering from these toxins, this gas, these fungi toxins in his blood, and I needed to just diffuse oxygen in him. Just something in my heart and my intuition and my gnosis had told me that's what I needed to do. And so I went to New Mexico and I ended up finding a place where I could get him hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Guess what? He was in a wheelchair, guys, at that time. He was sick, literally dying in front of me. That day, the next day, my wife, I'm working in the office doing my normal work, right? And my wife comes to me and she goes, honey, you got to see Micah. You got to see Micah. And I'm like, what? You know, I'm freaking out because for the whole year he's been sick and it's always been bad news. And I'm like, what? What's wrong? And she's good. You got to see him. So I turn the corner and he's standing. And I'm like, what? You were just in a wheelchair yesterday. What's going on, son? He goes, I could walk now, Dad. And you guys got to keep in mind, I was carrying my son around before I even got a wheelchair because we couldn't get a wheelchair. I didn't even have enough money for a wheelchair. And I had to carry my son to the store, to the bathroom, to his bed for months. And then one day, one treatment of oxygen therapy, he was walking. Okay, so don't tell me that I wasn't a believer in my own gnosis after that, in my own knowledge, in my own power, and the power that we all have to get this knowledge for ourselves, to use this knowledge to cure our family, to protect our family, to protect our tribes. We got to take that power back, and it all comes with getting that knowledge, that gnosis. And that's why I always say you get the knowledge and the gnosis that pertains to you and your path, and you use it to make your life better, to heal yourself, to cure your kids. That knowledge is out there, guys, and we all can get it, and the truth shall set you free. So, thank you, Trish. Thank you, everybody. That's hey, guys. Little heartfelt. This is the beautiful guys that I do it for, right?
Yeah.
What's up, Micah? Did we cure you or what?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfectly?
Yeah.
Right? When no doctor would?
Nope.
Nope.
I mean, they at least they saw me, but they didn't do much.
They didn't? No?
No.
How did you like the oxygen?
It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How many treatments did you do?
40 something.
Actually 76.
Oh.
You see him now riding a bike? Right? You happy? How long you been healthy now?
Let's say maybe a year, 2 years.
A year, 2 years?
Yeah.
That's good. He doesn't even know. He doesn't need to worry about that anymore. It's been a year though. Awesome. So yeah, that's Micah. He's my kids, you know, that's why we're here, guys. You know, we're here to raise ourselves, of course, and to raise our families and to try to evolve and love ourselves, live in the moment, you know, and try to not let these demon parasites take over our bodies, our minds, and our families, right? It really comes down to that. We got to slay them. And I want to give you guys a few different ideas on how you could offset this balance. See, I'm the believer that they're part of us, guys, okay? And that you can never get rid of them 100%. So anybody that says that you can, they're not telling the truth, because they're part of us. The key is balancing our bodies to our God-given states, how we're supposed to be, and trying to clean our guts and as many out that have taken over our systems, and try to rebalance it. Alkaline, right? They talk about this, you know, that oxygen and alkaline is the key to fighting cancer. I forget what that doctor's name is, but you know, if we do that, that preserves the light within us, the phosphorus. And that's what these fungi do, these molds, is they take all of our minerals, all of our essential minerals like phosphorus, and they take them for themselves, and then they steal them. And that's why people have problems with illness and diseases, etc. We become mineral deficient, etc. So that's why I'm a big believer right now that everybody should, if they can, try to take as many vitamins and supplements as they can, but they got to take the right ones. Eat organic food. My family takes a multivitamin every day, and it's non-GMO, organic. And then we also take a nice bone vitamin that has phosphorus in it. You know, I talk about phosphorus, right, guys? That's our light. That's our consciousness. So, you know, this is talked about in the mysteries a lot. The Rosicrucians talk about this. Max Heindel, one of the founders of the American branch of the Rosicrucians, says those people that have low phosphorus are stupid. Okay, so this is a fact. I've researched it. So you definitely need phosphorus. Phosphorus is important for our light, for our consciousness, and that's also our sexual energy. So if you're having problems with maybe erectile dysfunction, stuff like that, sexual issues, if you're a woman or whatever, I'd say you might have some phosphorus issues. Or you're having problems thinking, that could be an oxygen issue, and that could be a phosphorus issue as well. As far as your gut goes, a lot of people have stomach problems. My son had serious stomach problems for a year, and I'm going to tell you a simple remedy for you guys that worked really well for my son. And there's a few different things you could take. I'll tell you the first one: grapefruit seed extract. Okay, that'll kill the candida and different fungi in your gut. But that's where people make the mistake, is they stop right there and they don't take it to the next step. Because what happens is when you kill these parasites, these demon parasites, they release a chemical, a mycotoxin, into the also while they're alive as well, they distribute a mycotoxin. So if you don't clean your gut out of these killed parasites and these mycotoxins, what they do is they redistribute and recirculate inside your blood. So what you need to do is you need to, after you kill them with like a grapefruit seed extract or a cat's claw or oregano oil of oregano, is you need to take like an activated charcoal or a clay that binds it. Okay, they call them adsorbers. Okay, what they do is they act like little sponges, and they basically wrap around these chemicals and these different toxins, and they take it out of your gut, and then you basically excrete that through, you know, your stool or your urine. So when I ended up adding the activated charcoal to my son's diet on top of that stuff, it literally was a game changer for his gut issues and cleaning him up and taking him forward. There's other things out there. There's chloromysterine. That's a prescription one. I don't highly recommend that. Activated charcoal, I love that. I highly recommend that if you're having issues with your stomach. You ever get sick after, like say you eat some bad food? That's fungi, guys. It's not bacteria. What you need to do is you take activated charcoal. You have nausea, the flu, activated charcoal will be the key, guys. So, yep. Anyways, back to the elementals and the demonic parasites, guys. It's all about rebalancing and retaking our bodies and reclaiming our minds. And we need to detox, we need to clean our houses, we need to have various rituals that will help us in this modern sense, in this modern world, to live, to be a Gnostic warrior, to have a healthy and a happy life. And I found that you've got to keep these fungi, these demonic parasites, at bay in your body, in your environment, on your clothes, wherever you go, because they're everywhere. They're in the air. They come from the outdoors, indoors. They grow on all dead matter. So when animals die, when trees die, when leaves die, they're all being consumed by those fungi, and then they end up floating in the air with wind, and that's how they kind of distribute, and they go in the windows of our homes, on our shoes. And what happens is our homes end up getting water damage. You know, that toilet overflows, or that sink, that faucet, and then all of a sudden these fungi become activated inside the home, and then they become a problem inside our environments. And of course, within our bodies, if we start eating certain foods that have high fungi, have high parasites in them, then they're going to start multiplying and then also making us imbalanced, which I feel is the majority of people today are imbalanced from these demonic elemental parasites that the ancients had called, that we know today as fungi and other names. And I believe that these have their own world out there. And the reason I know this is because I interacted in this world for 5 years, 6 years. And my son, he had some of the most terrible nightmares that I ever witnessed in the world. And I attribute these nightmares, guys, to the memory of these fungi and what they do to people and the plague. So if you remember, I talk about DNA gnosis and how our DNA is like a software and everything is recorded within it. Okay, for all animals, DNA is our recording software. It's where all our memories are stored. So this would happen also in the fungi world, in any world where there's DNA. And these DNA, as I had mentioned before, these fungi, they graft themselves onto human DNA. So if humans are suffering and these fungi are causing this pain, these cancers, these people eating them alive, aren't their memories going to be of pain and suffering and horror? Aren't they going to distribute these pain and these suffering, these memories, into whatever person they're taking over, whatever lower? Yes, they are, guys. That's what's happening, I believe. With these entities, they're causing these nightmares in these people that are becoming sick because these memories are not their own anymore. They're being taken over slowly. All right, you guys watch both ways? All right. Just walking across the street here. Sorry, a lot of you guys been commenting. Thank you so much. I just kind of been on a roll here because it means a lot to me in my heart, and you know, everything that my family has been through. I'm gonna see if I can get out of the sun here in a second and you know, address some of your questions or your statements. But sorry guys, I just had a phone call on my phone. I'm actually on call right now for work. I'm just kind of getting a little walk in. If I have to run here, I'm actually, just so you guys know, I'm one of my jobs that I do is water damage and mold remediation. So I'm actually living in this world, and I'm talking about something that I actually do, you know, and my son who was affected, and my family. So I kind of got in this line of work because I felt I could make a difference. I could, you know, help people out there and help them understand how dangerous water damage is and what it could do. And it's been awesome. It's been a blessing. So I'm making a great living right now in sunny Southern California, helping people not get taken over by the demonic parasites, right? Imagine that. What a trippy world this is. So thanks for everybody for tuning in. Brother Edgar, Sal, Max. Negativity feeds negativity, the feedback loop. And I actually think that this lower energy, these fungi, these demonic parasites live in this negative energy. I don't think they're all about being friendly and, you know, consciousness and people having a good time. They're all about consuming shit and killing things, right? So I think that these entities we feed, the more negative we are, the more off balance we are, the more crappy food we put in our body that we're not supposed to put in us, we start feeding these negative energy parasites that just multiply and multiply. So their negative energy naturally, right? Their colony starts expanding within us, all right? And we're these light beings where, you know, you see the children, they're all happy and great, and then they start getting taken over and they're just like, their light is just being sucked up by these negative energies, these parasites, these fungi. And that's what's happening, guys, out there. And that's what I feel the ancients had said were the elementals, were these spirits, etc. Do I believe that there's human spirits? Yeah, I do. But I believe that these elementals are what they were talking about, and they're proving this with science. And as I had mentioned, they could graft their DNA onto our DNA. They could take over insects, animals, nervous systems. If they could take over all these people, what makes us so powerful that, you know, they can't even touch us, right? Fungi is no big deal, guys. Just worry about this Lou Gehrig's disease or Alzheimer's or cancer, right? And there's no cure, there's nothing. But yet it's staring us right in the face. You know, the ancients knew about this. They talk about it in the Bible. And did you guys know that Moses and Aaron, they were mold inspectors? They were, guys. So yeah, talk about a turn of events. Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, this is something I think you guys should look into. If any of you guys have been touched by disease, by cancer, by anything like this, or you're living somewhere, or you're sick and you don't know why, I would look to the demon parasite world that we know today as fungi, molds. I'm telling you, these guys are the key. They're so dangerous that militaries around the world are using their mycotoxins to make mycotoxin bombs, mold bombs, guys, right? Weapons of mass destruction. They were found in Iraq. Russia was one of the first countries to use them in warfare. They were used in Vietnam. They were what I believe called yellow rain. And they're still used today on the people. These mycotoxins cause cancer, right? And they're found everywhere and everything. And I believe that they're taking over much of this world, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a plague being covered up basically right before our eyes. That's when your family, your children, or whatever, they're sick or have cancer. It's the plague, it's the demonic parasites, it's the fungi I'm talking about, guys. At least take a look there. What's up?
Oh, I watched this video,
Mm-hmm.
and that's exactly what they're called.
What?
Yellow bombs.
Yellow bombs?
Yeah.
I gotcha. What are?
The mold bombs. They actually, in some countries, they're banned.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the army.
Gotcha.
They're so dangerous. Huh?
They're empty penny rolls.
So that pretty much concludes my walk and talk. I'll see if anybody has any questions I missed here or I could address and everything. And I thank you guys for all the support and appreciate you guys definitely. Hey, you're welcome, Dimitri, brother. Much love and light to you guys. I thank you for tuning in and the support. Yeah, I told you guys I feel that I've connected my ancestry to the Levites, the Ophites, and I feel a connection, an intuition, a direct connection. I feel that there's nothing new under the sun, and we'd go for full circle, Ouroboros, and if we follow our gnosis, we kind of, as I had said, we pick up that torch. Like Plato had said, all learning is remembering. So I feel that these teachings, they're encoded within me. The teachings of being my own shaman, my own physician, my own Gnostic, a follower of wisdom. And I feel all of us have that within us, and we all could tap within it. If we listen to that voice, we listen to our heart, we listen to that intuition within us. We all could heal ourselves. We could be the best people that we could be. We could have beautiful families if we listen more to ourselves and our heart and to our intuition, and instead of other outside entities out there. Eddie, you're talking about the effect of, I'm not sure exactly where you're getting at with that, but you're saying basically you don't feel that it's the fungi or the parasites, but the spiritual balance. And I get what you're saying, but I believe to be spiritually balanced that we need to first balance this physical vehicle for a spirit. So if we're in balance, whether that's by chemicals or by food or by fungi and parasites, it's going to be hard to find spiritual balance, because we're not balanced physically, we're unhealthy, we're sick, we're diseased, etc. So I don't basically blame fungi and parasites for everything as far as spiritually unbalanced or people being sick, etc. But I believe it's one of the big major contributors today to why people are sick. And the title of this video was how demon elemental parasites, whatever I put there, had almost taken. The ancients and the philosophers, when they were talking about these, they didn't have the science that we have today to measure and quantify these tiny parasites, etc., and these fungi, and that now science is doing that. But since science is not really honoring the ancient physicians and the doctors of yesteryear and the philosophers, they're not putting the two teachings together. So that's kind of what I am seeking to do with the Order of the Gnostics, is basically the ancient teachings for the modern Gnostic. So my idea is I'm going to take some of these teachings, these philosophies, and put them to modern science, because I know they weren't crazy and they weren't wacky guys talking about nonsense. They were talking about the truth, and I believe that this truth is right out there, and we could tie this science to it. So I believe spiritual balance, it has a lot to do with everything, and the rituals that you do, and the food you eat, and everything, and the air you breathe, and it's all about that. And that's why the ancients and the priests, they had strict cleansing rituals, and they had to be clean, and food, and don't eat this food and don't eat that food. I believe that these were basically instructions not to get these demon parasites within your body, right? To eat kosher food and stuff like that. So in any event, kosher food today, guys, right, would be organic, right? Well, like our family, our mothers and our grandmothers used to eat in the day, that was just regular food. It was organic. Today, we got to go in the know. If you're not in the know, you're getting the pesticide, GMO-laden crap food that freaking kills you, has no nutrients. But if you're in the know and you got some gnosis, like I feel a lot of Gnostics are, even people that don't call themselves Gnostics, you understand this science now and what they're doing to the food. And then you go seek organic, good, wholesome food. So let's see what else we got here, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. Chemtrails, Trish. Oh man, that's another podcast, selfie walk and talk in itself. Chemtrails, one of the most dangerous subjects to talk about, and one I don't know if I'm going to address too much, but it relates to this video that I'm talking about right now, Trish. And if anybody wants to read the code there, they can. If they don't, go do whatever you need to do. But it relates to exactly what I'm telling you right now, Trish. All right, so out physical elements are demonic possessions of our soul brought on by our own worn down souls. So I agree that our souls, though, they get worn down from these demonic parasites, these fungi and these different bacteria. So when we get imbalanced, our vehicles get worn down, and I feel that our souls get worn down. I feel that in order for us to be completely happy and healthy, that we need to have these vehicles working in the best shape as possible. Just like your car, just like your house, we're no different. We need to take care of these vehicles. We not to treat them like they're trash and it's just, we're just a spirit and this is just a vehicle that we use, a spacesuit. I might say that sometimes, but we need to treat these bodies good in order to have a good spiritual life, because you aren't thinking about anything. When you're sick and feeling like crap, and you're not thinking much spiritual, you're just thinking about your pain and your suffering, guys. You just want to get better. It's hard to study knowledge. It's hard to get a job. It's hard to do anything if you're ill. So I think it's important that we take care of ourselves, and that this demonic possession is actually these parasitic infections, these parasitic fungi taking over our central nervous systems and our DNA. And if we don't clean them out properly and rebalance our bodies through right thoughts, through right actions, through right words, I believe those all have a direct effect on our chemicals in our body. They could change them, they could heat them up. They could change our sulfur within our bodies to sulfuric acid. Did you guys know that? So when you get hot and angry, you actually heat up these God-given chemicals, and you change them and you morph them. That's why when you get angry and hot, your stomach starts to hurt, you know, or you get in a yelling match or whatever, you feel kind of sick and flushed. You're changing your alchemical makeup. You're changing it just by these words and these actions and these thoughts and by getting angry. And then you're creating more of these parasites that love, guess what they love? An acidic environment. So, all right, guys, thank you again. I'll try to answer these questions later and see what I could do. I love that you guys are interacting with one another. Thank you so much. Keep dropping the gnosis. All right, Ruben, I will. I do this for you guys. I'm here to serve. I'm a student, guys. I'm not perfect. I'm not completely detoxed, right? I still got to deal with some of my demonic parasites that I'm cleaning out of my house, my family, and so forth. I'm not the most perfect guy in the world. I make mistakes. I cuss once in a while. I grew up in Southern California. I didn't go to college. I'm not the most well-spoken man, but I try to do the best I can. I'm self-educated. I dropped out of school when I was 17. So I kind of try to do the best I can with what I've been given. When I was younger, I had a drinking problem, the fungi, right? The demon parasites. I love to drink them, the spirits, and do drugs and feed those fungi and those parasites. And you become a beast, guys. That's what I believe they were talking about in the Bible. A lot of us are becoming beasts by the way we're thinking, we're living, our actions and our food and our thoughts and stuff. And I was that beast, guys. And something I'm not proud of, but it's what made me who I am today. And thank you, Sal, man. You guys are awesome. And I believe that, we're all here for a reason. You're well loved. Thank you, Diana. I appreciate you guys, and I'm really loving doing this, and I'm touching a lot of people, and you guys are touching me. And the more feedback I get, of course, the more I want to serve. And that's exactly what it is, being a Gnostic. So I encourage you guys out there. And I know you guys are smart. I get your messages. I see your work. I know you guys are just as smart as me, if not smarter. And you guys all have light to give to others. So I encourage you guys, start your own websites, start your own podcast, start, giving quotes out there and doing what you can to spread the light and the truth. And start developing your past. The more you serve the divine, the more you want to walk on the divine path. So, yeah, we're going to, John, the booze was an element jinn. I'm going to talk extensively about alcohol and drugs and my experience, and then also the science behind it and why it is such a big part of this world and our society and our cult, our culture, because we live in the cult of the parasite, of the worm, of the great dragon. And I'm going to talk about this and how this is a major factor in how we're controlled as well through the alcohol. And this is what the Greeks knew, when they had Bacchus, the wine god, right? And he's bringing wine into a new country, and they had all the priests, and they're all with the cymbals, and they're singing, right? And they got their wine in their jars, and they're bringing in some new tribal land. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were bringing the alcohol to the original inhabitants of that land to take them over. So once they gave them that alcohol and got them addicted to these spirits, they knew that they would be taken over and easily managed, and they do that all over. They did that here with the Native Americans, right? They basically took them over, and then they flooded them with alcohol, and then all the alcohol is the drunk Indian. We hear the stories. That's happened all over the world. So even I'm going to leave you with one little tidbit here that's pretty damn cool. So you guys know the Pope, right? Right? Pope Francis, all the other popes that have went in the Catholic religion. You know that little ball that the Pope has, and they have the holy water, or you have the priest in the Catholic ceremonies, guys? Do you guys know what that little ball is called, that little device? I want to see if anybody could tell me. Don't Google it, guys. It's called the aspergy. Okay? Do you guys know where this aspergy comes from, this name aspergy? It comes from what I was talking about earlier, aspergillus. It's a mold, it's a fungus. All right? And in the old days, the priest used to use this holy water, and they would spray it upon their congregation to protect them against the plague and the parasites and the demons. And there was a special ingredient in this holy water that I'm going to talk about in the future that I believe is really crucial in healing us and so forth. So this holy water, right? And do you know the aspergy? It's a little stick with a ball. Go Google aspergillus and look what one looks like under a microscope, and guess what you'll see? You'll see what the Pope's holding in his hand. It's a freaking aspergillus, and they call it an aspergy. You think that's a coincidence, guys? Right? Do you think they sprayed holy water for no reason and they don't know what's in the know? I told you guys they were Gnostics. They took all the knowledge. They took it to the church, right? Right? And we were left with the shit and all the guys in the white coats. Oh, you got this disease, you got that disease, you got this disease, but we can't cure you. You know, that's where we're left. But anyway, sorry I get on a little rant, but I thought it was pretty cool. So Google that, aspergy, holy water, the aspergillus, guys. So anyways, take care. Love you guys. Coincidence, no such thing ever. All right, take care. Bye.